Karen Damshin here with a little weekly Medicare update for you. So, one of the questions I'm getting asked about a lot is centered around drug costs. So, back in February of 2024, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid began negotiating drug costs directly with drug manufacturers. So the first round of negotiations included drugs like Novolog, Jardiance, Farxiga, some of those drugs that are really important for diabetes management, as well as some really common drugs like blood thinners like Xarelto and Eliquis, or drugs to help with heart conditions like Entresto. So they wrapped up those negotiations, and those new drug costs are going to go into effect in January of 2026. Well, about a week or so ago, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid announced the second round of drug price negotiations. And they put 15 drugs into the second round of negotiations as well. And this year, we're excited to see that it's going to include some expensive medications to help manage things like respiratory illnesses. So it's going to include Breo Ellipta, it's going to include Trelegy Ellipta, as well as some of those drugs like Ozempic, Rybelsus, and Wegovy that are meant for type 2 diabetes. The second round of negotiations also includes Ibrance, which is an oral chemotherapy medication, and then some other medications like Xifaxan and Xtandi that are also very expensive. So people have asked, well, how do these negotiations work? How are they going to benefit us? And the reality is that this is a government program, so there are definitely hurdles that they go through and steps that they go through. So the first thing they do is they invite the participating drug companies with a selected drug to engage in a meeting and talk about its data submission information. Then they move on to hosting patient-focused roundtable events. And these are where patients can get together and advocacy organizations can get together and talk about the reasons why these negotiations need to happen. They host one town hall meeting for practicing clinicians, researchers, and other kind of interested parties to discuss each selected drug. And then CMS will send an initial offer to the drug with a proposal for the maximum price and kind of a concise justification. And so those proposals should come out by about June 1st. And then if they come to an agreement on a maximum fair price negotiation, we should know about that sometime around November 1st of 2025. And then these new drug costs would go into effect January of 2027. So this is a fairly lengthy process, but the hope is that we do start to see some drug cost relief in addition to some of those other programs that were put in place, like the $2,000 cap on Medicare beneficiary drug costs in 2025. So I hope you find this helpful and interesting. Just if you've ever wondered what these negotiations mean, that's kind of a quick, concise summary for you. Of course, if you have questions about your Medicare, your parents' Medicare, whatever that may be, feel free to give the office a call and we'll get set up with a time to chat.